And there's 5 notes in that scale. It's kind of like a blues scale. So we'll learn that later. All right. So I'm going to teach you some new chords here. And these new chords are some of the most basic chords that you're going to need for guitar. I've already taught you some of the chords that are not basic. The reason I did that is because these next chords really should be easier, number one. And number two, they use more fingers than the ones that we've already learned. And so we're going to add all 4 fingers to some of these chords that I'm going to teach you. Now, I'm going to tell you up front with these 3 chords, there's an easy way that sounds a little bit more modern, and then there's a more difficult way that is actually the more standard way that people teach you. And I'm not going to teach you the standard way first. I will teach you it second in the same lesson, but I'm going to teach you the modern way first and the way that sounds better. And I'll explain later the rationale behind it when we take a little bit of a break. So are you okay if we just jump into the chords right away? I'm just going to assume that you guys are going to say yeah. You don't even need to type yes. It's totally fine. All right. So here are the chords that we're going to learn. And I hope this shows up on the screen when I display this. Actually, Kayla, would you mind holding the guitar for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you all see that? Is that someone type and tell me, is that showing the right way? I really hope it is. So the top way is going to be the standard and a more difficult way of doing these chords. So we're going to skip the top for a second, but I'm going to teach you G, C, and D as we do this. And we're going to focus on G first, all right? And the way that G is going to be fingered, you'll have to notice real close. See the numbers I have on there? Those numbers represent what your fingers are. So the number 1 right here is going to be your index finger. That's number 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. All right? So take a look at where those are at, and then we're going to wrap around how our fingers should go onto the guitar. Actually, Kayla and I are going to switch places. She's going to hold my iPad here in just a second, and then I'm going to bring my guitar over here. We're going to like tag team this. You want to put your guitar on the stand back there? All right. And again, I'm not teaching you the standard way that I think way back in the day they would teach you. So really what they need to see is this chord right here first, Kayla. Perfect. Okay. So the way you're going to do this is you're going to anchor. This may not work. This won't work. So let's try not using the iPad. I'll just try to show here. Okay. We're figuring this out as we go. You like that? Okay, starting from the top. This is just a guitar lesson. Your middle finger goes here on the 3rd fret. So do that for me. And then go to your index finger, and you're going to place it on the next string. But it's very easy. What gets difficult about this, and this is why we decided to not show this until session 3, is that you're going to need your other 2 fingers here. And here's where your other fingers go. They actually are going to go also on this 3rd fret. They're going to go on this finger, or I'm sorry, this string right here, and it's going to be your pinky when we get there. And then also on this string on the 3rd fret using your ring finger. So if I skip these 2 fingers for now, it would look like this when we get there. Now it's going to feel like a big traffic jam and really crowded, but the way it all looks together is like this. Okay? See if you can get your hand, and it should sound like this when you play the G chord. Kayla did an excellent job. Now I want to point out one thing. You're gonna, if I were to pull this off, look how my fingers are kind of curved down. None of them are curved like this. They're all curved down like that. See how they're curved down? That's a good angle-ish. They're down like that and not like this. And your hand is going to want to have the tendency to, your fingers are going to want to have the tendency to go like that. And that's a very nasty habit that you don't want to have to unlearn later. So try to get your fingers to curve like that and play your G chord with all three down. It should sound nice and clean like this. Okay? Now, that is, let me show you. Ooh, I keep hitting my guitar. Let me show you the diagram again. For those of you that are still trying to figure this out, which is totally okay. It's this one right here. Your middle finger, which is number 2, goes here. Your index finger, number 1, goes there. And then your 3rd and 4th fingers are all on the same 3rd fret as your middle finger over here. Okay? So that is the G chord. Now, you may ask the question, hey, Brian, how come this number 3 is highlighted? Now, here's why I've highlighted number 3. This is what I'm going to call an anchor finger, because it's going to be used in all 3 chords. G, C, and D all have an anchor finger. Do you see how the number 3, your number 3 finger, which is your ring finger, okay? Your ring finger, number 3, stays exactly the same for all of these chords. Okay, put your guitar down for a second and just listen. And watch my anchor finger. This is my anchor finger right here. I will never move my anchor finger when I play these 3 chords. And this is the magic behind the modern sounding of these 3 chords. Is it already this boring, Kayla?
No, I'm just tired.
She's just tired. If you're quarantined, comment what you've been doing for quarantine to pass the time. Are you playing card games? Are you driving around parking lots aimlessly? Are you learning to play guitar? Okay, look at this anchor finger. It's going to stay exactly the same. Here's G. That was a terrible G chord. Let me do it again. I just forgave myself for that mistake, and I'm moving on. Okay? So I'm playing this G chord. Now watch my C chord. All I did was move these 2 fingers. I'm going to teach you this here in a second, but look, my anchor finger stayed the same. C, it's G, C, and G. And then if I go to D, watch this. My anchor finger doesn't change. That's D. So the key is, everyone hold up your ring finger. Your ring finger is going to be your anchor finger, all right? And that's the part that you don't want to change. That guy's not going to move on any of these strings. That guy's got to stay there. That's his home plate. Nathan, card games, guitar, and video games. That is an exact replica of what the Nelsons are doing.
Our ring finger?
Yeah, your ring finger is going to stay right here. So this guy.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that you're
Just
talking
like
about. This one.
Oh, yeah, that would be your middle finger. Yep, this is your ring finger. Okay, so go ahead and play the G chord again. And again, this is a great exercise to do. An exercise is to pull off your shape and then put it right back on. Let's try that. See if you can get a nice G. And then go ahead and pull it off. Kind of keep that same shape. And then put it right back on. See if you can get right back to that G. Okay? That's okay if it's buzzing a little bit. It's okay if your fingers aren't cooperating. This might be the very first time that you're actually doing this. Caden, dance class, guitar, and school. I like how you're all putting guitar in here. It's okay if guitar is not part of it. But that's awesome if it is. That means that you're practicing. So, yeah, and school. Kayla's doing school too. So is everyone. So there's G and got your anchor finger. Now we're going to go to a C. Once you have the G chord, the only thing you have to do to make it a C, and this is actually a C2 chord. Okay, so it's not really the standard C chord. Just keep that in the back of your brain. C2 chord. You're going to take these 2 fingers from the G, and you're just going to shift them down to the next strings. See, here was G. And here's C. G, C. And when you play it, it should sound like this. Now, you might be playing this low string, and that's okay. But try to skip that first string. Just like we did on the A chord, we didn't play, remember the A chord? We did this thing, and we tried to not play the first. Same thing with the C chord. You really want to do, you want to skip that first string, okay? All right? So let's try that. Go back and forth. So you can go back and forth between the G chord and the C chord like this. Here's G, first chord that we worked on tonight. And then go to the C chord just by moving these two fingers. Remember, you have to skip that string. And go back to the G. Gail's doing great. Keep going there. And then to the C. It's great. All right. Now, we're going to keep our anchor. Remember, which finger is your anchor? Hold up your finger. That is the anchor finger for these chords. That's right. This is, it's your ring finger, okay? It's not the bad finger. It's the ring finger. That's your anchor finger. That's the one that you're going to hold down even for the D chord. D chord is the third chord we're going to learn today. So you had G, then C, and then here comes D. D is really bizarre. Go ahead and take off all of your fingers except for your anchor finger once. So this is all that you should have on. Okay, we're on the 3rd fret, the 2nd string up. You're going to put your ring finger on that string. That's the anchor. Now here's how you're going to do it. It looks like a triangle, an upside down triangle. If you envision a triangle here, like here's the flat part and then there's the tip. It's like a backwards triangle. So you're going to take these two fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, and you're going to put them on here, and your anchor finger is where it was before. See how I have that? I'm going to show you a diagram here in just a second. So your pointer finger is 1, 2, 3 strings up from the bottom. Your middle finger is actually on the bottom string. Now, this is going to feel really bizarre to you, but this is a very common chord. Common chord. D is like played a ton. So you'll have to get used to it over time. And when you do this one, again, for now, you could strum all of the strings, but you actually want to probably skip the first 2 strings if you can. So don't play this one and don't play this one. Start here and work your way up. We're going to hit 4 strings. I held up 3 fingers. 4 strings. Those are the ones that you want to hit. That's a D chord. Okay? Now, hopefully you can get that cleanly played. And it's okay if you play a little bit of the strings back here. But here's where these 3 chords are going to come into play. Now, again, watch. So go ahead and put your guitar down just for a second and just listen. So here's G. I'm going to play G, C, and D in that order, and I'm just going to repeat that over and over. Notice this never changes. C, D, and then G again, like the whole plate. Okay? That's what I want you to practice a ton this week. If you have a piece of paper, I'll try to post maybe my notes this week on the YouTube channel, and then also in the Facebook group that we have. G, C, and D. Those are the 3 chords. If you get these 3 chords down, plus all the other ones that you've already learned in session 1, the E minor, the A, the E chord, then you've almost got all the basic chords. There's maybe 1 or 2 more, and then all the really fancy ones like bar type stuff, you know, you've got all the major chords, all of the big ones that will lead to playing just about any song. Okay, so you're almost there. If you can get through session 3 with these 3 chords, you're going to be doing really, really well. Okay, so here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to get that G shape, and you got to get your transitions from the G to the C chord nice and fluid. You want to try it together? Kayla's ready. She's yawning because she's tired, not because she's bored. 1, 2, ready, G. Now to C. Now you're very close. She's got it. One more round, okay? G. Now to C. To D. Back to G. All right. So, how you guys doing with that? How did you do with G, C, and D? If you've played a little bit before, maybe these came a lot easier. And I'm going to show you very quickly the standard ones of these, but just pop some comments here of how you guys felt so far with those chords. And while you guys are putting those comments in, here's why I didn't teach you the standard chords for G and C. Part of the reason is for G, you actually are not using all 3. You can go back and show this video later if you want. For a standard G chord, you play it without your ring finger. But if you do that, you lose your anchor finger. There's no anchor that gets to the next nice chord. That's the old like country and Western music. Yeah, Cindy, you're gonna have to cut some fingernails. Do it on this hand. Don't do it on this. Hey, have you ever seen like classical guitar players or like legit finger picking players? They actually put, are you ready for this? They actually put Lee press-on nails on their right hand. They either grow their fingers out naturally, but they actually end up breaking. I remember I was in a session once with this guitar player. Amazing finger picker. I forget his name. He has a couple albums out. Anyway, someone asked him the question, hey, how do you get your fingers that long, like your fingernails? And he said, well, I'll tell you what you do. You're going to go into Walgreens, and you're going to look for a nice, pretty pink box. And it's going to say Lee Press On. You're going to bring it home, and you're going to glue these nails on to your right hand. So, yes, you probably want to keep these fingers on the fretboard very nice and short trimmed. In this hand, it's probably okay. All right. So the standard chords, the reason I didn't teach you that is because you lose your anchor finger. Now, by the way, I just showed you the G chord. So I don't want you to practice it like that, though. You're going to practice what I showed you. That was G, the standard chord, if you wanted to, without that down. A standard C chord is actually this. Again, only 3 fingers, but without this. And your anchor finger has moved, which is why I didn't show you this C chord, but it sounds like this. If you want to learn that, that's totally fine, but just know that it's a more difficult chord, I think, to learn. And then the D chord, the standard D chord is the one that you already learned. So you actually learned the D chord standard the right way. But don't do that for now, because I think you're going to do yourself a favor. Now, is this C chord, those of you that are really like the music theory nerds, is that C chord really going to fit everything? It's going to fit 80% of the things that you're going to play with a C. The 20% that C2 chord is not going to work, you're going to have to learn the C chord or another variation, like a bar chord. But for now, do the C chord the way that I'm teaching you, because that anchor finger is going to help you with the G, C, and the D chords. All right. So the diagrams would be helpful for practicing. So I'm going to post these diagrams. Thank you, Rhonda, for saying that. I'm going to post these to, I can't post them to the YouTube comment field. Maybe I can do a link to the diagram, but in the Facebook group page, make sure you're in the Facebook group, Learn Play Guitar Online with Brian Nelson. If you're in that, I'll paste this stuff in there as well. Okay. Hey, real quick, put your guitar down. She doesn't let me annoy her during these lessons. Here's something that I want you to hold on to. So, and again, I'm going to make this really short. Session 3 is about the time where you're wanting to give up maybe, and you're maybe thinking, too many chords, my fingers aren't doing what I want them to, and it's just not working. And that's at a point in your life where you start becoming you're teachable at one point. Like when you first start something, you're like, yes, I can learn this. I can do this. I want to do this. You've nailed the guitar. Like you went out and got the guitar. And some of you, this is at the point where you're like, I can't do this. And so there's actually a verse in the Bible that says this. It's Proverbs 4:13. It says, hold on to instruction, don't let go, guard it, for it is your life. Hold on to instruction. So here's what I want you to do. Just be encouraged to hold on to instruction. What I'm giving you are just the foundation keys to get you started. And once you unlock these foundation keys, it's going to lead to a life that is going to be much more pleasant on the guitar later. It's the same thing in real life. If you hold on to the instruction and the wise counsel that your parents are giving you, that your wise friends are giving you, not your unwise friends, or other role models in your life that are wise and are giving you instruction, you have to receive that instruction, okay? So here's my encouragement to you, and this is the end. Receive the instruction that you're getting here, and you'll have to be teachable with it. And once you do the hard work and actually change what you're doing and learn what the instruction is, it's going to lead to really good things in your life. It'll actually guard your life if you do that in your standard life. Okay, that is the end of our life music lesson. Okay,
Just like running, like at the beginning, you're like, I can do this.
That's right.
And then yeah.
And then you get halfway through the race and you're like, oh, I'm ready to give up.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, that's how I feel when I run too. She's laughing because it's like all 2 times a year that I run, and I'm running because it's on purpose, like away from something. So, okay. So G, C, D. Pick your guitar up and we'll finish this out. So those of you that are learning this picking thing, all right, remember this, the first week you did. And it doesn't matter where in the fretboard you do it. You can do it up here if you want. And then the second session, we did this. All the way up to the top string, all the way up to here. Okay. This week, what I want you to do is this exercise, okay? Same concept, but you're going to be skipping some frets. Watch what I do. Just listen. Then you move on to the next string. So basically, this is your anchor finger, and you are skipping strings. Go on to the third string. Next one. And then this one. If you can get that down, the next part in session 4, I'm just telling you where we're going, okay? Where we're going is a pentatonic scale, and it's the blues scale. And it's a scale that everyone loves to solo on. And it sounds like this. Actually, I lied. That was not 5 notes. That was actually 6 notes. I played a passing tone. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last note is an octave note. It repeats the same one over again. Okay? That's where we're going for session 4. But what I want you to do this week don't do the pentatonic yet. Don't skip ahead. Do this first. You'll do yourself a favor. You're going to do these skips. Okay, learn those, and then we'll move on to the pentatonic scale, which is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, did you want to try that once? The skips? This is what you're going to experience. These fingers are suddenly, magically not going to be able to work for you because you're skipping. Maybe. Try it.
Wait, so do you want us to go like down, up, down, up?
Yeah, down, up, down, up. There you go. Okay, now you'll notice that her index finger, when she's doing that, she's lifting it up a little bit when she presses the other ones down. Try to keep that index finger down as much as you can. So it'd be, actually, let me start where you were. You were on the 7th fret, right? Keep this guy down as an anchor finger. Yeah. It'll take a little bit of practice, and that's okay. She's got the right hang of it, and you will too. It just doesn't feel natural yet. You're just going to have to spend some time with that, okay? I think we're about coming to a close. I'm going to put these diagrams. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to make sure that I got to you. I'm going to put these diagrams up. Remember, these are the easy chords, more modern with the anchor finger. These are the more standard, difficult chords. Let me check my other notes. These are actually my full notes here of what I was going to teach you. Pentatonic scale, anchor finger, and we already did the life lesson. So we did everything. I want to teach you some different strumming patterns. We've kind of been doing this strumming pattern. Let me just do this on an E chord for you. Now, I want to teach you some other strumming patterns, and I think we're going to skip that for this week, but I'm going to try to put that into the lesson for next week because there's all kinds of strumming patterns that, if you remember this, hopefully you're still doing those patterns when you're practicing, that your hand never stops. Because here are some of the other patterns. You'll notice my hand will never stop. See that never stops? You could actually turn the volume off on your computer right now, and you would notice that my hand never stops. It's always kind of the same motion. I'm just skipping. So we'll learn some of those patterns, but the trick is to keep that hand always moving. Keep doing the ta, 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 ta. Do that pattern for now, and then we'll go on to the more advanced stuff later. All right, so this is the end of session 3. 3 chords we learned. The skipping thing that we're doing. Remember your anchor finger on your ring finger. And then next week, we're going to jump into a little bit more advanced stuff. I'm thinking I'm going to do about 6 sessions total, okay, just to get you launched. And when we get to the last session, you should be able to, with the capo, and don't get a capo yet. I'm going to show you how, if you got a capo, after the 6th session, you could play any song, probably about 90% of the songs that you hear on the radio. There might be some nuances and different odd things, but for the majority part of it, you'd be able to play all 90% of the songs with the chords that you have learned already. Okay? Hey, you guys are awesome. Keep practicing. Forgive yourself for mistakes. Be faithful in the small things. Keep receiving the instruction, okay? It'll pay off later. All right, Brian and Kayla signing off.